everybody. Welcome in to the North End Podcast, episode 215. My name is Zach Graham, your host here in the North End, joined, as always, by my good buddy. He's on record as my best friend. His name is Ian Michaud, and we call him E. Well.
Yeah, going great, man. Oh, boy. Fuck me. What an ass whooping. Yeah, not in the highest of spirits, that's for sure. But we're going to need a good purge here. We were a little bit excited in our drunkenness, I suppose, last night after that ass whooping that we were going to be able to be salty guys again today, which, you know, sometimes breeds good content. We had a long salty season last year, but this season has been relatively positive. But I am definitely excited to get some things off my chest here. Those goddamn Canadians.
Yeah, dude, this is gonna, fucking annex them at this point, right? Yep. Like, I'm with it now. Like,
man, sign me up. We're going.
Oh my God. All right. We will talk through last night's debacle up there at BC Place. Touch on a couple other pieces of Austin FC news. Last business day, Academy out at the GA Cup. Before we get into episode 215 here today, just want to remind you all, listening or watching on the YouTube channel, that the best way to support the show is by downloading the audio versions of our episodes wherever you get your podcast. That actually helps support the show financially, and you can toggle on auto downloads, Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast. You can support the show going forward. You don't have to think about it again. You can go the extra mile, rate and review the show wherever you get your podcast. And if you're watching on the YouTube channel, subscribing to the channel does help us grow the show, and you can hit the notification bell to know when a live stream pops up or a new episode goes live. And of course, here on episode 215, hit the thumbs up, like the video, help us battle the YouTube algorithm overlords, and God damn, spread some cheer in this gloomy Austin FC world. Wash yourselves clean in the rage, the anger, the confusion, whatever this is about to be of the North End. Yeah, we did. I guess I want to say this off the top.
Okay.
And we'll come back around, of course, at the end of the match. We're fucking fine. We're fine. Okay. The offense does not look great, but you cannot discount all of the good things that this team did over the first 7 weeks of the season. And you take a look at the table. We're recording here. Portland is wrapping up a road victory over Sporting KC, which is going to put Austin FC in 6th place in the table. We're 2 points out of second. We're fucking fine. Okay? Yep. That does not change what happened last night, and we will talk about it. But anything else you want to say kind of from a wide view? Because I think I just have a lot of thoughts going on, but I wanted to get that out there first before we fucking rip into this one.
Yep, I will get my preface out of the way as well. Vancouver's very good. I tip my hat to them. They are a very quality team. They continue to find ways to win, or not just win, kick ass. So gotten that out of the way, I won't have to say too many more nice things about them, and we can just focus on the fact that we looked like an elementary school club last night. So there we go. Good job, Vancouver. Hell of a win for you boys. I hope you enjoy it. We're going to get into our own stuff now.
Yeah, man. And look, if you don't need to relive this, you can turn it off right now. Those were our overarching thoughts moving forward, right? But if you need this group therapy session as much as we do, let's get into it here. So, before we get into the match, we had a couple pieces of news, as we and pretty much all the other Verde sickos in the fan base suspected. Riley Thomas does get a first-team contract here on Friday. It is a 1+2 deal for Riley Thomas here. He will, of course, occupy a supplemental slot on the Austin FC roster. And he picks up number 2. So the number 2 going from Matt Hedges to Riley Thomas. And, of course, he made the trip up with the team to Canada this weekend. So just taking a look at our roster spreadsheets at the northendpodcast.com, you can see Riley Thomas slotting in there in the 6th supplemental slot. So the window, I believe, is open for another 9 days, if I'm not mistaken. So 3 senior slots 4 supplemental slots available for Rodolfo Borrell to close out this window. And then, of course, later this summer. So that's where things stand after inking Riley Thomas to a supplemental deal. And look, man, that was kind of lost in everything that happened after this announcement and once that game kicked off yesterday. So congrats to Riley. Because again, you don't just get this handed out to you just because you used your 4 call-ups, right? Like the team, the coaches, Rodolfo have to think that you are ready to, or you are worthy, right, of having one of those first team contracts. And Rodolfo was quoted in here saying, "We identified Riley as a young player with good potential last winter in the super draft. We look forward to helping him continue his development." So congrats to Riley.
Big congrats to Riley. I don't know if he benefited from the Dessler injury a lot, but we'll take it any way we can get it. So I'm happy for him. You signed your first pro contract here with Austin FC. That's fantastic. And yeah, maybe he could have played last night. I don't know.
Yeah, like, to be honest, when we make the wholesale changes, I think it was 4 guys at once was the first substitution. It was just kind of like, it's a shame that we can't bend the rules and get more than 5 subs in here, because there was really nobody on the pitch, at least of the field players, who deserved to stay out there. So, yeah. And we could have said the same probably, right, about Irvin Torres, because this also comes through on Friday. Irvin Torres signed his first short-term agreement of the season, of course, made his MLS debut late last season on decision day against Colorado Rapids. So this is his first time called up with the first team. This year, he was available off the bench last night for Austin. And this is, this is what I want to see, because we think Irvin is kind of that next man up in terms of who's going to get the supplemental contract next. And this, for the pathway from Jimmy to Riley this year, right? Like, it's been these call-ups before you get the first team deal. So hopefully, I think Irvin gets one either way, but hopefully this is an actual indicator that contract will be coming at some point this year.
I'm very excited for Irvin. I'm very excited for his entire tenure here with Austin. He's a player that I think we should keep our eyes on. And, he's slowly but surely moving up this ladder here. So a big congrats to him as well.
And then you get the injury report officially put out there Friday evening, and not really a surprise to see him, but Ilie Sanchez just ruled out on Friday. So I don't know if this is something, hopefully we can get some further clarification in the midweek. I don't think anybody brought it up. There was plenty of other questions to be asked of Coach Estevez in the post-match presser last night. So I would like to get an update on Ilie. Was this a re-aggravation of something? Was it because they listed him with a hamstring? Yeah. And he had his knee wrapped in the middle of the week prior. So, like, is that a new hamstring thing? I don't know. So he joined Dessler and Rubio sidelined. And then Micah Burton pops up listed out with a leg injury. And I'm hoping that's not a serious injury for him to actually be put onto the first team injury report. So I'm not sure what's up with that, but hopefully in the midweek we're getting some answers about these new injuries.
Look, I'm a little bit concerned about Ilie. You would have liked to have seen him progressing the other way. We've seen him with the wrap on. We knew something kind of had to be going on behind the scenes, but to get him ruled out Friday, that either tells me it's an aggravation or something got worse. So I'm definitely concerned about that, and definitely need to keep an eye on that. So hopefully everything's cool there, but I am worried about that because that seems like a downgrade to me. Yeah.
Well, I think I saw somebody post, and I may be misquoting this, but I think the stat was that since 2022, Ilie Sanchez leads all MLS players in minutes, or at least like coming into this season. That combined with his age, right? Early to mid 30s there for our captain when he's healthy. It's certainly something to watch, and of course we and everybody else will. Then the lineup comes out, just one change from what we've seen over the past 3 games, and that is Julio Cascante getting back into that back line, and I'm sure we will have a debate on whether or not, or maybe how long it's going to be till you see him on that back line again after what happened last night. Bench, Svatak, Kolmanich, Dubrsarski, Obrian, Fodre, Thomas, Torres, and Cleveland. What were your thoughts on the lineup before you knew what the hell was going to happen?
I mean, we're sitting there as we're getting our shit pushed in, and I look over to you and we're talking about how, before we were previewing this episode, we're like, we don't really care who starts between Spot Duck and Julio. I care now, that's for sure. But yeah, when the lineup comes out, I was fine. I thought I didn't think anything of it. And then you go see that performance and you have to think something about it. So I know we'll get into that a little more in depth here as we go through these minutes, but nothing too surprising.
So this game starts off, and one of the things we noted in the first minute was with the ball, Osman Bukhari is on the left once again. Mm-hmm. And again, it's not like we've lit up the scoreboard with Buka or anybody really anywhere, right? But I still feel like it's probably best to have our guy who has made his career on the right play on the right, maybe. Mm-hmm. I'm not a professional soccer coach, but that one just stands out to me as a fan at this point where I'm done seeing Buka on the left, I think.
Particularly with how much defensive responsibilities he's been given. And, something we've speculated about with this offense and how good the defense has been is, have we been sacrificing some offensive prowess in order to be one of the staunchest defenses in the league? Well, arguably the best defense in the league coming into this game. And then you have this disaster that takes place, and now all those numbers are completely blown up and you can't hang your hat on that anymore. So I was incredibly frustrated with the way that we were utilizing Buka last night. Part of that, I do believe, is the game script that Vancouver, after the first 20 minutes or so, once they get that first goal, was really on the front foot. But he just was consistently not on the offensive side of the ball, sometimes just behind half field while we're trying to move up the field. And I just don't think, again, also not a professional soccer coach who gets paid a lot of money to coach soccer teams, but him being asked to do the amount of defensive actions that he's being asked to do is becoming a real concern for me, because I am becoming very concerned about the offense. And if you were one of the people who were screaming about the offense being poor before this game, you were probably right, because you saw what happened last night. We gotta find some way to start generating goals here. And I don't think having Bukhari on the left side and playing in a midfield position essentially is how we're going to open up these floodgates here. So I'm very concerned about that. I'm frustrated. I imagine Osman is frustrated as well.
All those guys are, man. None of them are trying to go out there and play like this. None of those dudes who are getting paid all the money and they have the weight of those expectations. None of them are going out there like, it's okay if I just wait till next week to score. That's not their mindset.
Look, we applauded it when we saw it versus LAFC and we got those doubles on Bouanga, which, again, one of the best players in the league. I was for it. I thought it was a good look for us. But in this matchup, how often he was just behind the ball and the action was terrible. It's concerning.
Well, and this isn't a team. Who do they have, especially with no Gald and Ahmed on the bench? And there's no double team worthy guys, but do we have to really double team Emmanuel Sabby or Eddie Aracampo or Tate fucking Johnson, who's got one hand right now? Yeah. Offensively, I know there's something going on between the 4-4-2 look for both sides of the ball, with and without possession, because I think that's helped the defensive solidity. We've talked about that on previous episodes this season. But if you can't score, look, it's defense wins championships, all that. We want to continue to have a top tier defense, and this team is still a good defense despite what happened in that one game last night. But you have to try something else offensively to unlock the offense, because look, all right, if we don't concede, right? Crazy math here. If you don't concede, you can't lose the game. Mm-hmm. But 17 or 34 points, if we draw every fucking match, doesn't get you to the playoffs. So we're going to have to score at some point. Mm-hmm. And if we can't score more than one goal per game, you're never going to be able to come back on a team. So you got to score first every time then too. And that then you start to bleed into. I don't blame anybody who, after last night, is saying this feels like old times. Yeah. Because certainly in the vacuum of this weekend, it does.
Absolutely. And I mean, it's just, we have, and like you said, they're having to score first And you see that in this game because we do come out on the front foot. We do generate some pretty dangerous looks that I thought we should have been better with. But when you don't finish those and it deflates the team, and now you're just relying on playing defensive actions versus this Vancouver team who is very talented. And yes, I preface this with Vancouver's really fucking good. I don't think Sabi's on the level of Buanga. I don't think that he's on the level of Dreyer. I don't think that he's at that type of level where it's like, yes, we have to send the two guys defensive action towards him in order to escape this. And the back line was horrible last night. Mm-hmm. Julio is a huge part of that. He was fucking awful in his defensive assignments, consistently lost, consistently not marking the guys that he needed to be marking. And I'm not putting all 5 fucking goals on Julio, but you saw the difference between Svatok and Julio last night, particularly the chemistry between Svatok and BHI, which is really lacking between him and Julio. And like, we understand, it's great to be able to get some good offensive action from Julio, but like, if it doesn't come and you're relying on a center back to help you generate and produce offense for a team that's already really struggling on that side of the ball, if it doesn't come, then like, you're just playing into the other team's hands because he's not as good on the defensive side of the ball as Svatok. And like, we had these questions around Svatok, and it was like, okay, is he actually better than Julio? Because we anticipated him starting earlier in this season and we didn't see that. But now to see what it looked like yesterday, and like, I know it's one game, it's an outlier, it's a shit ton of goals, and that game broke down and fell apart. But that did not look like the same defensive team that we have seen throughout the course of this season. And, you can't put this loss on one player. And I'm not trying to do that with Julio, but he stood out in a really bad way last night.
Yeah, I mean, it was like 407 between giving up the goal to Colorado at home and when we gave up the first goal to White last night. They had given up one goal in like 475-ish minutes, something around there. Mm-hmm. Like the Svatok Heinz Ike pairing had been working so well. And again, like I'm not saying that I would have done something different because you mentioned it already. Last Wednesday, we were like, yeah, I don't give a shit which center back starts because these guys are so solid. And I don't buy anybody who would be bringing up potential like chemistry issues between Julio and Heinz. Like, those guys have been good together for hundreds, if not thousands of minutes at this point since the beginning of last season. Not thousands, but it may have a comma on that number. And again, I think Julio may be covering up for some of the mistakes I think Heinz Ike had last night. He was bad.
Yes.
But let's fucking get into it, huh?
Okay. You were bad. You sucked. Done.
Stuver, you're cool.
You're cool. You. I'm out of here.
4th minute. Long ball here from Owen towards Mirtu out on the left, and Tristan Blackman misplays a headed attempt back towards Takaoka, and Zuni has a chance to get in by himself on the Vancouver keeper here, but can't bring the ball down on the first touch, and then can't get a hold of it where he's trying to chip Takaoka, and Takaoka denies that effort. But look, man, Mirtu has to do better. I keep saying I know he can do better, and I still believe that, but we are getting to the point now, man, where, again, it's as a group. None of y'all played well. And can you imagine the different game script if he pulls this down less than 5 minutes in? Because if he gets any sort of touch on that first ball, right, you just have to go either direction around Takaoka, and it's a fucking tap-in. Tapa-oka. I'm sorry.
Look, I don't know what else we would want out of this situation to come out of the gates here like this and have this opportunity. He is the most expensive player we've ever had on this team. He has to do better. He struggled all night. This was the beginning of what I thought was his worst game in Austin Kit. And it was a long night for Ozuni because he was really, really poor. And to your point, you can go left, you can go right here. He just doesn't come down with it. But again, like you're talking about the game script, you score here. I'd love to live in that world, of course, because we knew coming into this game how this team has played, particularly on the road. The way Estevez has been lining us up, how we've been playing against these teams on the road, is that we're going to be a bit focused more on defense. And like, if you get this first goal, then yeah, you can pack it in. But if you don't get it, then the avalanche can come.
Yeah, and I'm not saying that you go on and ultimately win that game, but it just changes the entire mood for both teams, for everybody in the stadium. we got to capitalize on these fucking early chances, man. It was the same story last week at home.
Yep, you have to. It's the thing that's most frustrating about it is it's the guys that we paid a bunch of money
it's who you want to have the ball.
To score the goals. It's not like we're asking Savovich, who's like on a breakaway, to go ahead and score. These are the guys who we brought in here to score goals for this team.
8th minute, Austin gets their first corner of the match, and then there's a stoppage, and you can't really see what's going on, but it is described by the announcers. There is a mouse, maybe a rat, on the field. Since it's Canada and I hate them right now, we're gonna say it's a rat. And Stuver ends up grabbing it and taking it off the field. And like, if you go back and watch on the broadcast, man, there's a lady on the sideline who's like trying to get a good look at like what it is, what's going on, and the look on her face is hilarious. So it's the little things. I'm just trying to bring some sort of joy and happiness into my life here on this Sunday. Owen plays that corner to the top of the box, like on the ground, right to Mirtu. And he puts a shot on frame, but pretty easily stopped by Takaoka here. But that was a look off a corner that I don't think we've seen yet this season. And I like when we bring the diversity on our set pieces.
I thought that was a very, very sexy set piece, a new look, like you said, something we haven't seen this year yet. And you get the ball to, it was Azuni, right? You get the ball to Azuni at the top, who goes ahead and puts one on target there. But I liked it. I thought it was a nice little look.
Next minute, I think right off the goal kick, Austin wins possession back. Good challenge by Biru in the air. He heads it down to Azuni, and Azuni with the instinctual flick to tap it into the path of Bukhari, and the counter is on here. Buka slides it to Biru, who takes a touch to settle it to his left foot at the edge of the box and pulls it wide right of the target. And again, like, he can do better there. Put it on frame, brother.
Yeah.
Again, I think through the first 10 minutes, we should probably have a goal. And I'm mostly pointing at Mirtu.
Look, we know Biru can do better with this. Glimabir, as they were.
Can we not have Keith Costigan for one fucking week?
For the love of God, can we not have Keith Costigan? Because this man is out of his mind in pronouncing his name. It's insane. He even made Maurice Adu say his name fucking wrong. Yeah. He was like, "Oh, you've said it 3,000 times this way, so I'll say it too." But he can do better than this. Again, though, like, you see the start of this game, and the chances are there, man. Like, we've already gone over 2 Azuni looks and a good Biru look that we have right here, and a nice little set piece. So you got to capitalize, and we are unable to do that.
What I'll say in the notes, man, there are a couple Austin chances. There are plenty of Vancouver chances that just didn't make the cut because there are so many. I mean, this is 27 Vancouver fucking shots last night. And here in the 13th minute, the most dangerous one to this point of the match, Vancouver works it around the back from left to right. Blackman hits a really nice progressive pass up that right side to Eddie Iracampo. He plays an early ball in. Austin's back line is disorganized. It goes over the head of Heinzike. Rios gets a backheel flick on it, and that allows the ball to fall right into the path of Brian White, who calmly slots it home. I don't know. I saw a lot of people saying that, oh, the backheel flick by Rios is nice and cheeky, and like, okay, man, I didn't think that landed there on purpose off that backheel flick. Maybe it did. If it did, Daniel Rios why isn't he starting for this fucking team? But that finish by Brian White was smooth as hell. Julio gets caught in no man's land, just fucking staring. And I think these guys are backpedaling, right? We are unbalanced on that back line in this moment. But I think Heinzike should get a touch to this as well, going right over his head there. Again, I don't, like you said, I don't think it's just one guy you can point to. I think almost everybody can do a little bit better here, including Bukhari allowing that ball to come in so early. We got to close down on these guys trying to whip the balls in, especially when they've got us disorganized like that.
I mean, I think, well, I'll start with BHI. Definitely think he can do better. I tip my hat to Rios. You know what I mean? I don't know if he intended it to be that perfect of a ball.
It still looked nice,
but it was a really nice play. And, he hit it firmly with that little side sweeping scorpion style kick. Brian White, clinical, the start of a wonderful day for Mr. Brian White.
Yeah, Jesus Christ, best day of his life. Literally off the restart. Osman runs onto a loose ball and charges kind of between 4 Vancouver defenders right to the top of the box and scuffs the shot. So nothing doing. But I will give the guys credit because I think still throughout till that second goal comes, we were still very much in this match. And I think you kind of see the momentum swing back in Austin's favor as Portland started to stack bodies up behind the ball. Like from now on, at least over the next 20 minutes, when Austin got chances, like it was few and far between where we had advantageous numbers anywhere around the penalty area.
Yep. Vancouver. It said Portland there, I believe.
Oh, well, I'm sitting here looking at Portland, now 5 games unbeaten. So again, if we can just zoom out just for a second, we've also played some good teams here at the beginning of the season, including Vancouver last night, and Portland is playing very, very well at this moment. So
we said they hadn't played anybody, but like they played a bunch of teams, man. Look, I just think that it was interesting after this second goal because that is when it really starts to we had no direction. Like you said, we're still here after this. And I thought, okay, with the momentum that we had generated to start this game, the looks that we had generated to start this game, we thought maybe you can get this equalizer here before half and feel good about yourself going into halftime because we know we would have been satisfied with a point up there versus this club. But again, man, it is just embarrassing and fucking ridiculous to me that this Vancouver team played on Wednesday in Mexico in elevation. They don't have their best player, and they were the first to the ball. Every 50-50 ball, every fucking loose ball. They were the first team to it. They were sharper. They were crisper. We were disorganized. And that to me, you can lose a game. You know what I mean? You can just lose a game in this fashion. The other team can really outplay you. But when you take a look at how we looked, particularly in possession and trying to do stuff, and the amount of times there was just disjointed, horrible passes by really good players. It was embarrassing. It was fucking bad, man.
Absolutely. Ugh. Embarrassing is a great word for it. I have a couple other ones, but we can pick those up later. 20th minute, you got the yellow card to Owen Wolff for taking out Sabby on a break. 27th, and I'll have plenty for Victor Rivas later. That was one of his better moments, I think. Fair enough. 27th minute, you get Buka and Azuni starting a break. Owen Wolff joins him 3-on-3 and a half here maybe. But Azuni plays Owen to the fucking corner instead of towards goal here. And Owen wins a throw, but that's just a bad pass. And on the short throw, Galley's service gets headed out for another Austin corner. Nothing doing on the corner, but we stay in possession. The final action in this sequence, and this is a very minor note here, but I mentioned it live, and then they showed the replay, and you and a couple others of folks who were watching with us said, yeah, I think you're right. Owen could have shot this because Takaoka is playing the cross, and he is he's near his back post and floating 3 or 4 yards out from net. I thought he could have shot this here. Again, that's just a very nitpicky here, but I thought he could have done better there.
I mean, let's start with the Azuni pass. This is the main one for me that was just absolutely fucking pitiful. This was one of Owen busted his ass to get up to make this an advantageous situation for us. And this is the pass you give him. And it wasn't even like he was being pressured. They're getting their asses back, and you play it to almost the fucking end line. And it's dude, towards the goal, towards the net. In regard to the Owen cross, obviously you're not anticipating Takaoka to be in that position, in my opinion. But yes, there was an opportunity to go ahead and try to put one near post and to beat Takaoka here. But the pass is inexcusable. And it's also inexcusable that Brandon Vasquez was completely invisible last night. I don't know if we'll have a single highlight for him, or I don't know if we're going to bring him up in minutes. So I had to get it out of the way because he didn't do a goddamn thing all game. So he has that attempt later where he thinks maybe he got fouled, but you got to do better with that one too. But this was this kind of was the unraveling for me because this was the opportunity to go ahead and get this to equal footing 1-1 with a 3-on-3 break with your two fastest players in Azuni and Buka, plus one of your best distributors in Owen on the right side of the pitch. Fucking bad.
Well, let's get Brandon right now in the 33rd minute, because you got Owen and John doing a great job to stick with their pressure on the near side to the broadcast camera. They end up winning a ball that starts a 4-on-3 break. Brandon has the ball with Azuni and Buka to his left, Owen on his right. He ends up playing it laterally to Azuni. By the time this pass reaches him, it's 4-on-3 when we start the break. By the time this pass gets to the foot of Azuni, it's a 4-on-5.
Yep. It was a horrible pass.
Terrible.
Again. Terrible.
And Azuni, to his credit, plays this ball in towards Buka and BV that gets headed up into the air by Blackman. Blackman was fantastic last night.
He's a good player.
I credit him in this instance, but that falls to Wolf. And Owen plays this cheeky little back heel right into the path of Sabovic, and Sabovic sends that shot back to the fucking United States. He has to do better. When are we going to see him put one on fucking frame?
I mean, we haven't. You know what I mean? Like, he's got to put one on frame, or he's got to put this on frame. The passing again, and it's just like we had already seen that we could get Buka and Azuni into space versus that back line, and you play a fucking parallel lateral pass that's slow and middling and ruin all of our offensive momentum here. And that is just it's inexcusable. I can look past missing shots on target. I can look past big saves by the keeper like they had versus where he has that beautiful turn. I believe it was St. Louis, and the keeper makes a wonderful play. I can look, that's part of the game. This is disgusting. Like to follow that Azuni play up with like this in a relatively short amount of time just made me be like, God damn it. And again, I'll go back to the fact that this team just fucking beat Pumas in one of the most emotional games they could have been in, and the letdown that they had to have had between playing Pumas, beating them in Mexico, advancing to the Final Four in CONCACAF, to having to host Austin FC up at their place is all of the like we had talked about how good this team was, but like we felt like all of the planets had been aligning here, right? We wanted a dogfight for them in Mexico. Yeah. You got that. They win. You got that. You think you might have to, rotate even more because you're looking forward to CONCACAF stuff. No fucking galled. And to just not be able to match their intensity level is inexcusable. It's inexcusable. And look, man, we've been on Estevez's side this whole time. Like I said, he's earned my trust with the way that he's rotated guys, the way that he's approached games. But these dudes were not ready to play. They were not ready to go last night. And this is what happens when you play a team who's really fucking good. We wanted this early test. We were looking for it. We wanted to see what we actually were. And we went down the entire list of their team. They have 10 different guys who have scored goals. We're sitting on 5 fucking total for the season. So we knew that this was going to be a hard-fought game. And to show up and have this performance there, and I know it's a tough place to play for us. I hate the turf. I hate their fucking stadium. I hate the sparks that they were blasting off every 15 seconds because they were either scoring or thinking that they were scoring. But like, Jesus Christ, man, you cannot go and show up with this little amount of pride for your team. And because look, we've been written off all year, right? Nobody believes in us. You see the power rankings, you see teams talk, like pundits talk about us and shit like this. This was an opportunity to put a stamp on what you've done throughout the entire course of this season up to this point, and you fucking just missed.
Yep. 38th minute. Lengthy spell of possession here. And this is maybe the only time of the night where I would get on Brad and say, this one's on you, brother. Because Austin defends this very well. Vancouver has the ball for like a minute and a half here. Yeah. And they get it out for a goal kick. And on the goal kick, Brad boots it right to Ralph Priso.
Yep.
40 yards from net. He just taps it right forward to Sabby. And then he slots in Brian White behind. And after Stuver's mistake, we compound it with Julio not putting Sabby has all the time in the world to pick out Brian White here because Julio just stands there frozen in front of him. If there's nothing else happening around you, then okay, that's good positioning. But he's got runners.
Yeah.
And then Brendan just keeps, I don't know what Brendan is doing, hanging out a yard behind the rest of the line. If he's just, and again, maybe somebody with more soccer acumen than me can tell me why that was correct positioning from Brendan, but I don't think that's going to happen. If you have that thought, please fucking comment, whatever. Again, I think Julio was covering up for a little bit of Brendan as well last night. I thought both of them had stinkers.
Well, Brendan gets his, that's for sure.
Fuck.
The only rationale I have behind it is that he obviously was not expecting Stuver to pass the ball directly to the other fucking team. He's a little bit caught off guard. You got to try to get back. But yes, mistake, secondary mistake, tertiary mistake, goal for Brian White.
Yep, I didn't even say that. White brace. You know, I mean, this is the hottest team in CONCACAF right now.
Yes, absolutely. Like Miami had some dogfights but they haven't been playing the teams that the Vancouver's been playing and beating teams in Mexico and shit. And it's just like, they're fucking good, man.
Yep. 44th minute. Ocampo smacks Sabovic in the face, no card. Looked like maybe a little bit of a touch to Ocampo's face as well, but that's when I start to get, and then here's where my issues really start with Victor Rivas last night, who was the head official. 45th minute. Kubas threw a ball away on a throw-in that was off Vancouver. Guilherme Biru is going to pick it up, and I think Kubas threw the ball away, so Biru just shoves him. And then Rivas blows his whistle. He's coming over. You're going to talk to Biru first?
Yeah.
Where's the card for the guy delaying the fucking game? How many times have we seen that be an immediate card?
Yeah.
And then the worst part of this interaction, Victor Rivas shoves Brendan Heinzike. Not only is this our captain, it doesn't matter if it's the guy with the armband. Just like a player cannot put his hands on a fucking official, that goes the other way too. Victor Rivas was shameful last night, and the only reason that's not the story is because Austin took a shit on the field.
Yeah.
Fuck Victor Rivas, dude. That was a terrible performance.
Terrible. He wanted to talk to everybody. He wanted to chat with everyone. He was not and you know what? Before the game, he cracks a joke with Brian White.
Yes.
And they have a little fucking laugh as we're about to do the kickoff. So absolutely fuck Victor Rivas. You're going to get away with this because obviously Austin was worse than Victor Rivas was last night. But Kubas initiates the contact, pushes Biru, throws the ball. Biru, retaliation, Rivas losing his mind. And this isn't the first time that we see him stopping the game to not call things, but to tell people, hey, please don't do that.
Yeah.
Come on.
Give Kubas the fucking yellow and let's move on.
Yeah, dude, that's your fucking job. That's your job. You're and I'm for officials talking to people and shit like this, but when they're taking advantage of that, which we see later on in that set piece on their side of the ball, on their side of the field, it was inexcusable too by him.
How are you this noticeable in a 5-1 match?
Yeah, shit.
3rd minute of stoppage time, Galley gets played through towards the inline on the right side by Owen. His cross finds the foot of Brandon Vasquez. He puts it well over the bar and then catches Blackman's studs on the follow through, and he starts talking to Rivas wanting to foul. And I think that just hurt, and it's not a foul.
I didn't think it was a foul either.
So coming out of the half, and first possession off the restart here, it ends up the action finishes in the 47th minute here, but Sabby gets a ton of space at the top of the box. After the whole possession, Galley almost cuts it out with the sliding tackle, but the ball isn't secured, so Sabby has this space open for him, has a crack. Stuver saves that shot out for a corner, and then on that corner, Pedro Vite plays it in, and it goes off Danny Pereira's head, right into the path of Sabby, who's all alone in behind. Our guys are sleeping on the backside. So, first of all, we can't secure the fucking possession. They come out and earn a corner right away. Then our own guy heads it into the mixer, and everybody else is asleep, and Sabby is right there. So, I credit Sabby here for his action and being, in the right place at the right time. It was a good read by him, but that was at halftime. I was still very much in the mindset that we can try to fight and get 2 back and get a point out of this match. Did I think it was super likely? No, but you take a look at the stats from the first half of this match, dude. It's a tale of 2 halves. Possession, even. Expected goals, 1.3 to 0.7, rounding up there. 7 shots apiece, 2 on target apiece. Vancouver, 2 big chances. Austin, 1 big chance. It's not a blowout in the first half. But as soon as you do this, first fucking possession, second half, game is over. You take the L out of fucking Lover.
Over. And look, with Sabby, man, I'm going to give him credit too. This is what I want to see out of our guys who we pay to do this.
Yeah.
You get a guy in a one-on-one situation, You go ahead and you create some space for yourself and you put a shot on the fucking net, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is what I need to see from Buka. This is what I need to see from Azuni. This is what I need to see from BV. You get a one-on-one situation, brother. This is what we're paying you to do. This is who you are, who you've been your whole career. And I think at times, I don't know if it's being something that's being, reiterated by the coaching staff. I think we have a bit of an overpassing problem. And then when you add that with a lot of the passes last night were absolutely atrocious, that is not a winning formula. And yes, this game is absolutely over at this point in time after the Sabby goal here, and we're just trying to get out of there. I think we said, well, let's not give up 5 goals here. And lo and behold.
Yeah, in 50th minute, you get a yellow card to Priso. Late challenge on Gallagher, and fucking Rivas was not going to give this card. And because of how late it comes, my hypothesis here is that either the VAR officials in Arlington or the fourth official, somebody else got to look at that and said, hey, you have to give a fucking caution here. Because it was obvious on the fucking challenge, but it didn't come out for a good 30 seconds.
He was going over there to talk to him again. He literally was going over there to talk to him.
He fucking sucked last night.
He was going over there to talk to him. Is this the first yellow that they draw in this game, I believe? Or
I think so, yeah.
And like, he was going over to talk to him. And that's the only thing that I can think of too, is like, unless he said something crazy out of pocket where it was like, okay, now I'm giving you a card, but somebody had to tell this buffoon that this was a fucking yellow card, which it absolutely was. It was akin to the same exact type of play that Owen had made, which I was fine with him getting a yellow for too.
2 minutes later, this is where I said in the notes, Riva shitting himself at this point. Ocampo goes down like he's been fucking shot.
Yeah.
After Sabovic maybe grazed his cleat, doing a little tiny hop, getting ready for this set piece to come in. And this is the one time on the night where I will agree with Keith Costigan and Mo Edu. If there's a foul, fucking call it. Otherwise, Ocampo's just on the ground and we're playing the ball in, man. Stop trying to talk to everybody.
He stops the fucking game and goes, and this was multiple. Like, he had already talked to these guys before. You could hear him on the broadcast.
Stop it. Okay, so they don't stop it. Call a foul.
Yep, ridiculous. Simulation. It was 100% simulation the way that he reacted. But like, he was talking to these dudes before this, and then this happens. We stopped. Owen just boots it.
Yeah,
which he should have done, because
should have kicked it at fucking Rivas.
If you're just going to be laying on the fucking pitch, man, we have to play this game. And like, no, this isn't what changed the fucking game. We weren't going to come back from 3-0 on this team here, but just highlighting how stupid Victor Rivas was last night.
59th minute. It's all Vancouver now. I don't know why I'm saying that at this point. It's been all Vancouver, but Sabby beats Gallagher down the left, gets to the end line. His cross gets deflected around, ends up falling to Tristan Blackman. He takes a shot that goes off the post, bounces right back to Brian White, who smashes it as hard as possible right at Scott Sterling, Brendan Heinzike, who had covered for Brad Stuver on the goal line. It looks like it kills Brendan, and it goes in. I had to laugh to keep from crying, and I'm glad Brendan is okay, because I thought he was knocked the fuck out.
I thought he could have broken his nose. Like, he got absolutely blasted. This is the point where this just becomes a bit comical, because you just blasted our fucking captain right in the face.
It's like a top 5 dick kick goal of just, oh my God. Like, I put my head down like at home.
Just a headshot. Poof. And Brian White gets his hat trick here.
Yeah. And I just in the moment, fuck, we are going to see that for years.
Oh yeah.
Years.
Yeah. There's a lot of content going to be able to come out of that.
God damn it. Here comes fucking Berhalter and Ngando in for Priso and Vite. And then 5 minutes later, another double change. Ahmed and Bavalina for Sabby and Ocampo. 2 minutes after that, Austin empties the bench. Svatak, Dubersarski, Obrian, and Kolmanich come in for Cascante, Sabovic, Bukhari, and Wolf. And again, if we had fucking 8 subs, I would have subbed Cleveland in as well, just in a fucking field possession to get him off the field. We put 2 goalies back there. Maybe we could have held him to 4. 70th minute. Rios gets in behind, nearly scores. The sparks fly in the stadium anyways, because why fucking not?
Mm.
70th minute, or 71st here, rather, a minute later, Stuver, great save on Berhalter out for a corner. On the corner, it was a tough night for Dubrsarski. He completely drags down Brian White. There's one angle that makes it look like not as physical as I think it actually was.
Mm.
After the replay, I have no issue with that penalty being given. I don't know why Brian White didn't take the penalty here. Maybe he's just a generous teammate, but my ass would have been, come on, I'm getting 4 right here. Rios steps up. Maybe it should have been Brian White from the Vancouver point of view because Stuver denies Rios. And then it bounces back into play, and Stuver makes another awesome save on the follow-up. So again, like I said earlier, the one blemish for me for Stuver last night was on the second goal, kicking that goal kick right to Priso. But like, and we said this too, just from like an MLS fantasy perspective, so our fantasy heads will appreciate this one. Stuver was so good last night. Giving up 5 goals, he scored 7 fantasy points, which is a lot in MLS fantasy.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and look, like Stuver had to keep playing. A lot of these dudes for our team quit. We're done. They were over this. Stuver had to, otherwise he would have got face shotted absolutely by somebody as well. He's diving all over the pitch, trying to keep 10 goals, from being scored on us here. Mm-hmm. So still the consummate professional and Bradley Scott Stuver. Frustrating night for him for sure. But at least he played a full 90.
Yeah, 83rd minute here. And this, again, not just Rivas. I don't understand how this isn't called back. Danny gets absolutely crushed here. No call. Vancouver goes the other way. White slots his 4th goal of the night past Brad Stuver. I just don't know. We've seen fouls bring goals back before. Not necessarily in our matches, but other matches around the league. I don't understand how that is not a foul. It didn't look like any part of the ball was touched there. And certainly even if you get just a touch on the ball, you can't then clean somebody out.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, man. It didn't matter at that point, but it's like, what do we do? Did the VAR quit too? Like, why is that not called back? I don't know. And maybe I'm just being salty and whiny at this point. But goddamn, dude, like it looked like a foul.
It was a foul. It was a foul. And Pep obviously gets the goal later on. Rough night for him.
Well, we don't hesitate when Danny's down there complaining about it. Mm-hmm. We don't hesitate to call our guys out when you're complaining and there's nothing there. Again, it's a fucking foul, man.
It's a foul, man. And one thing that I saw last night was we saw the reintroduction of this. The fuck are you doing? The fuck are you doing? And like Pep does one later where he passes the ball to the wrong team. And he's like, "What are you doing?" And I was like, "No, dude, what are you doing? That is not the right. That is not our team."
Yeah, I remember that one.
This is a goddamn foul. Obviously, doesn't impact the game outside of Brian White being able to have a fucking absolute party on us. But you had your chance. Even after the foul here to play some defense, but we didn't really. You had the chance to go ahead and attack the ball. It wasn't like we were in too bad of a situation there where it was like they had an overload of players.
It was tough. It was a 3-on-2.
I don't know. To me, I'm taking a foul on somebody there then. You know what I mean? Like if that just took place before it happens, I'm going to go ahead and put the wood on somebody.
Yeah. Well, I know who I want the wood to get put to when Vancouver comes fucking down to Austin later this season. Because in the 87th minute, Sebastian Berhalter takes out Dubrsarski, goes to his head, and the Austin guys are probably more responsible than me, and maybe the fact that it is an ex-teammate of John Gallagher and Brad Stuver, because those guys are not fucking happy. John stays there for like a little over a minute, letting them know. To me, we should have fucked him up right there.
Yeah,
like he should have ended up. He should have been on his ass. He went to Dubrsarski's head. He hit him so hard his shoe fell off.
Yeah, this is a dirty play. The game is over. There's no fucking
It's
need.
a red.
It's a red card. There's no need for this. You just jump through his back, blast him in the head. He's down for a period of time because he got crushed.
It's a 5-goal game. If it was one of our guys, if it's one of theirs, that's a red card. I don't care who it is. Multiple sports, that's an ejection.
Yeah.
And of course he gets a yellow and Victor Rivas has some words with him.
Oh, had to let him know that it was a big no-no. That's a big no-no. Don't do that again.
keep this in the notes. When
Yeah,
Vancouver
Berhalter.
comes to Austin, and I think it's next month, on his ass multiple times. Fuck
Gotta
that
be.
guy.
Who was it last year that Biru laid the fucking pipe to after they took out Book?
It was wasn't it Ricky?
Oh yes.
Because
Yep.
it was, I think Delgado went low
Yes.
on
It was
Buka to his
Delgado.
knee. Yeah.
Yep. And that's what should have happened here.
Berhalter gets knocked to the ground multiple times next month. Please.
Look, man, it should be an unspoken thing. Coaches don't need to say that. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like you don't pull some Greg Williams type shit, but like you got to know amongst your brothers.
We watched that play back the week of the game. That is part of the scout.
For sure. Yes, absolutely.
And then in the 90th minute, hopefully some good momentum for this coming weekend back at home. Danny brings a ball down just outside the penalty area after a headed clearance by Vancouver. Takes one touch, curls the ball past Takaoka into the net. Great shot. Smallest consolation possible.
Fantastic shot. And like, hopefully he can take that, and work with it and build some positive momentum, because we know he only scored one time last year, very, very late in the season, deflected goal. But like, we think he has this in his bag a little bit. And if he's going to be playing, and if you're going to be playing up the field a little bit more, I'm fine with him taking this shot. Beautiful, beautiful rip. Takaoka really, really surprised by it. I think he goes, oh, I thought that was going wide.
You got to be careful with your accent there. 48% possession for Austin at the end of this one. 27 shots to 11 in favor of the Whitecaps. 11 on target to 4 for Vancouver. Austin created just one big chance, missed that chance. Vancouver created 8 big chances last night. 5 corners to 4 in favor of Austin. There we go. Expected goals on FOTMob's model, 0.88 for Austin, 4.76 for Vancouver. So believe it or not, these frauds overperformed their XG. 1.51 expected goals on target for Austin, 4.43 for Vancouver. We talked about, though, the first half stats tell a different story. Everything fell apart on that first possession, that first corner of the second half. Again, not in a good spot after one half, but the world was not crumbling, and it still isn't, but it feels fucking terrible today.
It feels absolutely awful. And like, we did the zoom out, you did the little perspective thing and everything. I'm looking at the MLS stats. We just vaulted Vancouver up to the top of everything. Big chances, shots on target, goals per game, expected goals. They're now like first in all of these things. So,
well, they had that last night, and they had like the full match to start the year up a man, which also buoyed their stats. So like, not only are they the best team right now, but like the stats are even more inflated than they probably should be. But I mean, they earned every single bit of it last night.
Yeah, I mean, you sandwich your season with aggregate 9-2 on 2 clubs, and you're definitely going to be looking good. They're a fucking good team. I've said it 3 fucking times. I wasn't going to say it again after I started, but inexcusable performance, inexcusable effort by everyone on Austin besides Bradley Scott Stuver, in my opinion. And I don't know what you can take away from this game other than just moving past it, because if you fucking lose next week and you drop 3 points to an LA Galaxy team who is absolutely terrible right now at home, then yes, we're going to have to start pulling levers. We're going to have to like up the threat levels to almost midnight. There's going to be a lot of shit going on. We have to figure out what to do on the offensive side of the ball with this fucking team. It has to happen. And I can't see Osman Bukari playing a midfield, almost defensive midfield position much longer. And we got to figure out how to make these 3 guys who we paid a shit ton of money be able to find their rhythm together, because they do not have rhythm together right now.
Look, if it's not can we give us just one game? Give me Mirtu Azuni left wing. Give me Osman Bukari right wing, and give Brandon Vasquez some space at the 9.
He needs some space. He does. He's struggling with it. And I know that Mirtu likes to play up top, and so we know he's versatile.
Yeah.
But like, let's ask him to be a little bit more versatile, where he's a little bit more comfortable on the left wing.
We are asking, can't move Brandon out there.
You are asking Bukari to be a completely different player, to be playing on the left side of the ball, left side of the pitch, and playing so much defensive action.
Yeah, and then what do you do behind them in the midfield? I don't fucking know, man. Figure it out.
Yeah, we have guys who play defense behind
Yes.
them. Like they're solid defenders. Hopefully we can get Ilya back in the mix and everything. I don't think he's going to be ready for a full 90 this upcoming week versus the Galaxy, but we've talked about the defensive prowess of Pep, particularly in the last month and a half of soccer. We've talked about Savovic looking good and physical and understanding of his role in the defensive side of the ball. And we know what Owen's been doing. And like of all the players that we shit on last night, I think Owen probably put the best field shift in out of anyone. At least he was generating stuff for us and trying to get us into the action. It's just everyone else looked absolutely terrible. I'm not saying Owen played good, but we have those guys there for a reason. We've talked about the ability of the back line to play well. Getting Dessler healthy will be huge. Johnny's been great. Johnny has been fantastic, but Dessler is definitely a better defender in my opinion. So like, yes, we've seen that the defense, we have figured something out here. We have to figure out what's going on the offensive side of the ball. And I like your theory there of getting BV some more space because he's a big guy. And we've seen that other teams are willing to man mark him and everything like that. But he was invisible last night. He was terrible. And that is inexcusable on the coaching staff to not find ways for your best players to get chances to score some fucking goals for this team.
Looking at the
5 great looks.
Yep, 5 great XG shots, 5 good XG shots, like 10 of those in a match.
Yeah.
I mean, last year we were praying for 10 shots in a game for us, not just 10 great and good XG chances in 90 fucking minutes. I mean, again, just such a thorough ass whooping.
Whooping.
G+ ratings, Galley, Heinzeig, Biru. I don't know, man, when you're back, 3 of your 4 backline guys are your top goals added or G+ ratings. Like, you're not doing much.
Nope, you're not playing well. That's for sure.
Take a look at the field tilt here, 61-39 in favor of Vancouver. And look, man, like, Vancouver's defense has prevented it, coming into last night, had already prevented opponents from having even one shot on target twice.
Yep.
Like, this is, again, a very good team on both sides of the ball. But, like, we also flew up there on Thursday. Was Austin, were those guys hungover? Like, what the fuck?
I said it, man. It's absolutely inexcusable that you were unable to match the energy levels of this team. Like, you can lose a game for sure. That fucking happens, but it is inexcusable to not be able to match the intensity of this team, to not have the focus from the rip, to understand who you're playing, to understand the moment. Just dog shit. I mean,
Brian White had a 9.9 FOT mob rating.
And he was dancing on us. You know what I mean? He's scoring goals and doing some Canadian
Chicken
version
dance?
of the Canadian gritty, maybe. I don't know what that was, but you can do whatever you want. You score 4 fucking times, man.
Austin FC, 11 shot attempts. Brian White, 10 shot attempts. Brian White, 2.33 XG. He had more XG than 21 other teams yesterday, including us.
And he kicked it right off the face of our captain.
Was there some sort of like Space Jam situation happening with that mouse where like all of our talent went through Stuver into the mouse? And then
the plague rat.
Fuck.
Plague rat was out in the field. I don't know, man. To look this bad, you might have to blame it on something superstitious because we were not ready to play this game, and they made us play for it. I pay for it. Excuse me. Yeah, dude.
Look, you had, of course, coach. Go ahead. Sorry.
I need to see 3 people attacking at all times with this team. It's got to be those 3 up top, dude.
Look, it's overly simplistic, but like, it's not our fucking job. Figure it out. Coaches and players.
I mean, good God.
The offense, this is not a new issue.
Nope.
Because you can get by with the mediocre offensive output if you are the best defense in the league, which they were through 7 weeks. But now you're so far from it, that's just out the window. It's going to take months to get those numbers back.
Absolutely.
If you can even come close. So now the offense is even more in the spotlight. So figure it out. We got to see different ideas this coming week. You have to.
I mean, you're playing a Galaxy team this upcoming week who's given up 15 goals. They are beat up. They're struggling. Their keeper play has been absolutely awful. It's either a get right game or the biggest fucking trap game of the season, where you're walking back into Q2 and you're like, this Galaxy team is fucking limping in here. But like, you look at that, it's paltry 6 goals. It's not acceptable right now. So,
Yeah.
and again, I don't want to overreact too much. Obviously, everyone pissed off. People are amped up, texting us about, I can't wait for you boys to go off today. And it was like, yeah, we're gonna for sure. But perspective, 6th place right now. I still trust the coaching staff to be able to figure some things out. But it has to be a different look. It has to be a different look. And I don't want to come out not on the front foot versus this Galaxy team at home.
Yeah, I mean, we're coming in. Galaxy and Houston are the 2 teams on the schedule to close out April. Before you go into a gauntlet of a schedule in May, I mean, again, we'll talk more about the Galaxy, of course, in the midweek episode, but you got 2 teams on the schedule next up who have 1 win combined, who have 9 points between the 2 of them, and have given up 27 goals combined.
Yep. And because, like you said, the gauntlet comes after that. You got Minnesota, you got Cincy,
twice.
You got Atlanta, you got Vancouver again, and then you got Minnesota again. So, like, yes, you got to start stacking some points here. And as good as we feel about 13 points, 2 points off of 2nd place, you got to bankroll some here in these next 2 matchups. 6 points, that's the goal, in my opinion. You got to get 6 points from these 2. 4, I think I would still feel a little disappointed, because that means you're dropping points to a clearly inferior team in both of those clubs.
Yeah. I would say, though, 4 is fine. Right?
I would not
4
be fine with 4.
Well, it's but further context provided. I want to see how it plays out.
I mean, you're going to be playing in front of 22 people in Houston. Most of them are going to be Austin fans. So, like,
we're bringing at least 150.
there's going to be an opportunity here to get 6 points, but I mean, maybe we're just looking ahead too much because of the absolute thrashing, just belts to asses that we suffered last night.
Well, and like you can go watch the presser. Nico, we're ashamed, this and that. It's like, okay, man, yeah, you should be, whatever.
Yeah.
I just want to know, and I don't want the answers from Nico last night. I don't want him to tell us the plan in the midweek, but like, I want to see what you guys fucking come up with next Saturday. That's going to be the big theme on Wednesday's episode. And Hindsight came in, and I don't necessarily disagree with his theory that it's good for this to happen to you earlier in the year rather than later. And it's a good example of defensively, this team cannot take any plays off. And that type of mentality is what's gotten you to this point. When you sit back and relax for even a second, especially against a team like that, you just get done dirty. And again, it was deserved yesterday. These guys did not, is this, where does it rank on the worst losses in club history? Off the top of your head.
God, it's up there for sure. I mean, the things that come to mind are the RSL game last year, the 6-goal drubbing that St. Louis put on us. The Kip Keller back pass versus St. Louis comes up for sure. It's up there, man. And, in my opinion, what we have expected from this team makes it worse, because we have expected more from this team. Last year, 5-1, you play a tough RSL team in elevation. You give up a half-field goal with a club that we had that was really poor and shitty in a rebuilding season. But this year, this team, this iteration, to not be ready to play this game when you have played really well the last 3-4 weeks of the season is it's tough. So it's up there for me.
Let's figure out exactly where it is, E. Let's do a little activity here. I have what I think are the 10 worst losses in club history here. So we've got them on Tier Maker, represented by little pictures that I pulled from it. So I'll describe some of these to you here, and some of them you mentioned there, listing off the top of your head. So I want to go 1 through 5, and the other 5 will just be in the dishonorable mentions category here. So if you're watching on the YouTube, you can see this visualization. And I'll let you just rank these, and as we go, we can maybe discuss and adjust. So last night, off the top of your head, where is it? Is it top 5?
I'll put it 2 for now to see
Okay.
how we move forward.
Okay,
I mean,
so
it's even with all these other games, we didn't have somebody getting shot in the head.
Yeah,
and
to go
giving
down
up
4.
Yeah, to give up a hat trick and to go down 4. So it's very well that I could be adjusting this one here. But yes, I'll start him at 2 to be safe.
A 4-goal differential 2 matches the club record for largest margin of defeat.
Okay.
So then let's go the season opener in 2023, represented here by Kip Keller as the Kip Keller back pass game against St. Louis. Is that in the top 5 or is that a dishonorable mention for you?
I think that's a dishonorable mention. It wasn't an embarrassing thrashing. It was a really, really unfortunate play by Kippy.
Yeah.
But it wasn't, we were winning that game, right? We were up. Right?
No, we tied it. Well, tied it once, I think.
Okay.
1-1.
But yes, that was not an ass whooping like it was like this last game.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Speaking of ass whoopings, then how about RSL last year, the 5-1? And remember that RSL, like you mentioned, that was during the international break, or it was Copa America. So we didn't have Julio, we didn't have Danny, a couple other injuries, and going through the rebuild. But you had the Chicho midfield goal, and then even worse, I think, in that one was the goal where we clear out a set piece opportunity for them. Hader runs the break and scores. Not only does that goal get called back, but they call a PK on Brendan Heinzike for this like phantom fucking handball that did not affect the play at all. And they end up scoring their 5th that way. So where do you put the RSL 5-1 from last year?
I'll go 3 with that one.
Okay. So RSL's 3. Then, oh, look at this guy here. Can't even find a picture of him in a uniform because he only played the one time. The Amro Tarek game in the Dominican Republic, 3-0 loss against Violette, a team that could not play at home because of the civil unrest in their country at the time. 3-0 the Amro Tarek game.
That's number 1.
Okay, here we go. Number 1, Amro Tarek up there against Violette. Now, this one, tried to remind you last night. I don't know if you were in the headspace to remember this one back in 2021. This one is up there for me, man. 5-3 loss to FC Dallas at home, but this one became 5-1 before we clawed 2 back when the game was already out of reach. Jesus Ferreira, brace. Ricardo Pepi, brace. Even Hader Obrian scored on his future team to make it 5-1. Dallas had 12 big chances in that game and missed 8 of them. They missed as many big chances in that game as Vancouver had last night. For me, this one, the 5-3 Dallas at home in 2021, it might be top 3 for me. But this, to me, this has to be in our top 5.
Well, look, I was on a couple substances for this game, so I was having a pretty good time. I'm not gonna lie. So
5 for you, maybe.
I wasn't too hurt, so I'll throw it there at 5. You seem pretty upset about it. I had a pretty good day.
Oh, I hated it, and then I was even more annoyed because you were just fine.
Yeah.
Then we have Sam Adenor in here, and that is actually, even though he was a one-time San Antonio FC player, this does mark the 6-3 loss at St. Louis that was returning from the League's Cup break in 2023. That one felt like shit at the time, and I'm not trying to make the case that it's good, but that one was also just an insane match because you go back and look at the underlying numbers from that game. And again, XG doesn't tell the entire story. Of course, 6-3 for St. Louis was what was a fair result given the way that one played out. But the XG in that one, 1.7 for St. Louis for 6 goals scored. Austin, 3.44 XG. So you doubled them up on XG, but you lose 6-3 and get doubled up yourself. I think I keep that one in the dishonorable mentions for me, but this is your list, so that's my case.
I'm going to go ahead and boost the Pepe up to 4, and I'll throw this one at 5. This one really hurt for me because we had the first game versus St. Louis. You have the issues with Kip. You come off one of the worst performances in League's Cup. We get thoroughly embarrassed. I remember going into this game. Off. You have been in my ear all season long. St. Louis are frauds. St. Louis sucks. They can't. Not good. So I was like, okay, well, let's go kick their ass. So this one really hurt for me. So I'll put it at placeholder for 5 now. But seeing this next picture on the old docket there lets me know that we're in for some more pain.
So this one represented by our dear first head coach there in Josh Wolf holding his head. That this is representing the 2024 season opening loss to shorthanded Minnesota, who didn't have their best player, who didn't have a coach. It's their next pro coach coming in there and running circles around us. And again, that was more about the first half and how bad it was. But the one goal we get is the Biru just, at the death didn't mean anything. So I think dishonorable mention for me, but this is 100% a top 10 worst loss in my book. Because of, even though we knew we were rebuilding, that was a team that we expected to come in and beat and at least not have our worst half in club history to that point. And we did. So I added it.
I think it's a dishonorable mention for me. No Seba, so you get a little bit of a leeway there for me. But yes, that was. I mean, if we were just going based on halves, that would be much higher on my list here because it was awful. But yeah, dishonorable.
Well, that half would be in contention with the second half from last night, I think, in my opinion. So the next one here, some purple jerseys, and that was a couple weeks before that St. Louis match. This is the Mazatlan loss. 3-1 loss in the League's Cup opener. We came in hosting that group as favorites to advance out of the group. Mazatlan, we're clowning on them. They're terrible that year, and they come in and dust us. That is one of the few matches that I got up out of my seat and left and watched the final few minutes from the concourse there. So again, I think that is still dishonorable mention for me, but that one hurt.
Definitely hurt. I don't think it's cracking the top 5 for me.
All right, well, how about this one here? This one kind of slipped my mind, but this was a real beating. 4-1 loss at Sporting Kansas City. And old-ass Alan Pulido gets a brace on us. Again, I think this just sneaks probably behind here for me in dishonorable mentions in front of Mazatlan. But that was one that I think a lot of us probably put out of our minds because of how bad it was. And ultimately, we just had some worse losses that season. Again, a lot of these are coming from 2023.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I was up in New York for this game. And I was introducing my good buddy Val to
I remember that.
To Austin. And I was like, you got to see us play, dude. And then this happens and did not have a great night. But yeah, it still didn't hurt the way that those other 5 did at this point.
All right, so this is an interesting one. And this is why I left it for last. We have the 1 through 5 set here, but can the San Antonio loss in the Open Cup dethrone any of these in the top 5 for you? Because we traveled down there. That was our first away match as Austin FC fans. And I know you were feeling some type of way as we were walking out of there and getting it from the San Antonio fans who were rightfully celebrating in our faces. So you can see here, marked by, I think that, I don't know who that is with their face flat on the ground, but that was after we missed one of the multiple chances in extra time. But where do you rank the San Antonio FC loss? Does it dethrone that St. Louis loss for you, or is this a dishonorable mention?
I don't think it dethrones that St. Louis loss for me.
Okay. Is that the highest dishonorable mention though? You've got the Kip game, you've got the Minnesota game last year, SKC 4-1 loss, and then Mazatlan.
Yes, I think it does dethrone the Kip there.
All right.
That second St. Louis game really hurt me, man. And like you said, the underlying metrics and stuff told a different story, but we still got our ass beat by a team that we didn't think was very good. And my fucking disdain for St. Louis.
Yep, absolutely. So we locked in here. This is the 5 worst losses here in club history for us. We got the Violette game, the Tarek game.
Yep.
Last night, 5-1 RSL, 5-3 Dallas, and 6-3 St. Louis. The worst 5 losses in Austin FC club history.
Yep. I mean, I'm just looking at 1 and 2 and just wondering if this was worse. But if I see Amro Tarek, I just see red. I see rage, so he's got to be at the top there. The Violette, I mean, that was a disaster. It frayed the entire fan base. That was when the division between the fan base really was cemented, because it was we just got fucking embarrassed by a team that can't even play at their home stadium. And to not take them seriously and bring down our guys, it was just a failure from top to bottom. Coaching staff, management, the players, obviously Amro fucking Tarek, who, he didn't have a bad game in us, and he was always having fun. He's
I'm not
chilling at pools.
I'm still not totally convinced that there wasn't something nefarious going on there with Mr. Tarek. Because Austin were big dogs. And, I don't know. I'm just saying.
Shit. Okay.
Look, you give up all 3 goals are on you, including one you blast in there.
Literally blasted it in there.
The only way it could have been worse that time is if he blasted Brad in the face.
Yeah, no, that's my number one for sure.
And it stays one because over last night, because last night is not international news. Like the Violette loss was picked up by global outlets. So there you go. I'd be very interested to hear listener thoughts on this. And I'm sure there are some games out there too that we left out that could be put into the dishonorable mention category. Like a 4-0 against San Jose in our first year at their place winding down the season. That one hurt, but weren't playing for anything. So I think for me too, like the only way, I think in the moment, last night felt worse to me because Violette, at least we had the home leg. So at that point in the back of my mind, I was like, okay, we could still come back. We just need to get 3 goals at home against this team, which we should have had in that one. So I don't know, man. Interested to hear anybody else's thoughts. Feel free to drop some comments or messages to us on your thoughts here. But wanted to try to inject some more laughter into this just terrible recap. I don't know if we did that, but I'm glad we did at the very least. We have some hierarchy here.
This is a good little exercise for us here. I think that definitely sometimes you got to laugh at it because yes, these ass whoopings happen, and like this was an absolutely comical performance by the Austin FC team.
Well, and on a serious note, right? You get at least one of these ass whoopings every year.
Yep. Yeah, for sure.
And it's going to happen. So, like, the big problem is if it happens again, or this starts to become a trend, or the offense doesn't pick up, But again, I think from a wide view, like I said to start this over an hour ago, we're fucking fine, man. We're fine.
Yep.
You got to learn from it, put it behind you, and you got to put on a big performance next weekend.
Exactly. And I'll go back to BHI's words there, our captain, who probably suffered the most embarrassing, he was probably the most embarrassed out of everyone who played last night, in my opinion, for what happened. But for his words to come out there, it is all about how you respond here. This game is over. It's in the past. It's done. You got to move on from it, and you better not forget Sebastian Berhalter.
Come on down to Farmer Field where the champions play. Get ready for the game. It's last business day.
Last business day here on episode 215 of the North End podcast. Taking on North Texas SC out there Friday night at the pitch. One interesting note here to kind of tie the first and second team together on the weekend is, of course, we talked about Riley Thomas getting his contract. Irvin Torres with the call-up. Jimmy stays in Austin? We left a bench spot open for the first team last night and left Jimmy at home. So that could also be because the U18s, right, are out there at the GA Cup. So a lot of those guys on amateur agreements were out there with the academy team, and we're shorthanded here with the second team with CJ, Riley, and Irvin. So the second team only had 5 guys on the bench, and one of them was Cooper Roney as the backup keeper. So I don't know where Aaron Cervantes is. We don't get injury reports for the second team, so I imagine he took a knock. Apple TV fucking struggling here, dude. They listed Brett Utley as the interim coach. And some of the changes in, we had Chiesla in for Thomas once again with Riley up there with the first team. Mo Badawia was in for his first start with the team, and we did have Jimmy out there along with Grogan and Abarca in the attack, Alice Tway and Gonzalez in the midfield, and then Gomez, Van Ryn, the center back pairing, Allstrip and net. Bonachera out there on the left. I thought Austin, certainly through the first half hour, were the aggressors, and they were able to capitalize in the 28th minute here. Bonachera plays Alice Due through into the area down the left, and as he gets to the end line, he lofts a ball from a pretty tough angle on the run, and Grogan gets a touch to it, just kind of flicks it on over the keeper and into the side netting. And Peter Grogan, Great Selly here. I don't know if Swoon Tower has to do because with the lack of goals for the first team, like maybe we have to break into second team Selly ratings because you get like a cartwheel into a somersault into double John Morant's. Like it was fantastic. So shout out to Peter Grogan for the goal and the celebration. And FCito almost sees it out here, man. But in the 80th minute, again, I thought Austin the aggressors to begin the second half as well, but couldn't capitalize in the second half. And North Texas, in the final 10 minutes, wins a corner. Austin gets rid of the first chance, but North Texas kept possession and ended up finding a way past Alstrup in the scrum in the middle of the box there. So we go to PKs, we drop the win, and then you drop the additional point as well. Bonachera chipped the keeper on his first attempt, and then Gonzalez scores after Marcus Alstrup keeps out the North Texas attempt in the second round, but then Diego Abarca's shot gets saved, Jimmy's shot gets saved, and Alstrup can't keep North Texas's fourth or fifth round chance out, so we end up dropping the PK shootout 4-2. EC, you were right on the 1-1 scoreline there, but you dropped the PK shootout, and you never want to do that, especially to our Texas rivals here. So all in all, I say a letdown at Palmer Field as well on Friday night.
Yes, I agree. And one thing we could take away, I think, is Alice Dewey is a very good player.
Yeah.
He's a very good player. This is not the ultimate strength lineup for this Austin FC2 club. We know that right now. No Micah, no Urban, obviously up there. CJ with the first team and everything like that. I want to figure out this CJ situation a little bit better. He needs more game time minutes somewhere, in my opinion. You know what I mean? And like, if he's going to come in and get garbage time while we're down 5-1 to fucking Vancouver, like, okay, is that helping him develop along and everything like that? So I want to figure out hopefully we can figure out a better situation with that, but we got bigger issues on our hands right now as a club.
Yeah, ain't that the truth? Speaking of the rest of the club here, the Academy boys out there at the GA Cup, U16s have 2 draws in their group stage matches. Of course, both teams finishing up the group stage on Monday, but 0-0 draw against Inter Miami's U16s. We lost the PK shootout 4-2. Then today, 1-1 against NYCFC at the U16 level. And big Thomas Birchfield gets the big stop, wins the PK shootout 4-3. The club did post highlights from that save. You see Thomas out there. Team rushes him, jumping around, celebrating. So you love to see that. So I think they have a chance if they can win their final group stage match. I think you have a shot still at potentially advancing there. But on the U18 side of things, 2 close matches, 2 1-0 losses ultimately on Saturday and Sunday. First against the Galaxy U18s and then Charlotte FC this afternoon. But look, none of those scorelines, right? You're 1 goal for, 1 conceded for the U16s. 2 1-0 losses for the U18s. You're out there competing. We didn't get eyes on this match. So again, we don't have a ton of context with this, but either way, finish strong in these games. You get your international matchups for these 2 academy teams on Monday.
Yep, got to respond. And that's going to be a fun experience playing some of these international kids. So I wish them the best. A tough weekend to be an Austin fan.
Yeah, man, absolutely. We get 6 matches between 16s, 18s, second team, and first team, and we come away with a U16 PK shootout win.
All right, we'll take it.
Oh, shit, dude. Anything else for you before we shut it down?
Oh, God, no. Let's get out of here.
All right, everybody. We appreciate you tuning in, sticking with us here on episode 215 of the North End Podcast. We will be back on Wednesday, previewing Austin FC's return to Q2 Stadium, hosting the defending champion LA Galaxy, previewing Austin FC 2's trip. Now they have to go north of the border. Hopefully they can avenge us up there in Vancouver. We'll preview that match. We'll recap the rest of the GA Cup action as well and talk about everything else that happens in the Austin FC universe. Between now and then, enjoy the beginning of your week, everybody. We'll try to do the same. We'll see you back here on Wednesday for another episode of the North End Podcast. Till then, he's E. And I'm Zach. Vamos Austin FC, everybody. Goodbye. The MLS season is here. If you want to make some picks on your favorite players in sports, check out Underdog Fantasy's Pick'em game. You choose higher or lower on between 2 to 8 players, and you can win up to 1,000 times your entry. Underdog is available in 33 states, including right here in Texas. To sign up, click the link in the description of this video and use promo code NORTHEND at sign up, and you'll get up to $1,000 in bonus cash and a free pick to get you started. So join the millions of fans who have won billions on Underdog.